Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of What's the Word. Today is Saturday, July 25th, 2020, and the word comes from Proverbs 18:21, which reads, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who indulge it will eat its fruit and bear the consequences of their words." And from that, I just want to say, make sure you're manifesting the positive things you want in life and watch out for the negative things you say because you cannot get the words you speak back. Starting the episode off with scoreboard watching and a look at opening day throughout baseball. For the Washington Nationals, they fell to the New York Yankees in what was a rain-shortened game. Before the game even got started, Juan Soto was ruled ineligible after testing positive for COVID-19. The good news, however, is that all his follow-up tests came back negative, but MLB guidelines require him to have a second negative test and remain symptom-free for an additional 72 hours. No other players were ruled ineligible after contact tracing, and the game was played as scheduled. Prior to the game, the Nationals raised their World Series championship banners, and Dr. Anthony Fauci, the director of the National Institute for Allergies and Infectious Diseases, threw out the ceremonial first pitch. For the game itself, starting pitcher Max Scherzer had 11 strikeouts, but allowed 4 earned runs on 6 hits, including a 2-run home run to Giancarlo Stanton in the first inning. For the Nationals, outfielder Adam Eaton accounted for all the team's offense as his first inning home run was their only hit. The game then entered a rain delay with 1 out in the top of the 6th inning and was called after nearly 2 hours with the Yankees up 4-1, so they got the victory. And my thoughts on that. For it being opening day and for the season already being shortened, it was extremely disappointing to see opening day, the very first game of the season, to be called. To me, you just got to do better than that, Major League Baseball. It's the very first game. It's the reigning champions. And we didn't get to see the whole game played. I know you can't really account for rain and other inclement weather, but you know the forecast. You know it's the very first game of the season. You got to do your best to get it in. The score itself wasn't disappointing for me. Going into the game, I knew that the Yankees would probably score a lot of runs, as they did just through 5 innings and a third. Giancarlo Stanton had his home run, which accounted for 2 RBIs. He had another RBI in the top of the 5th, and Aaron Judge had the other RBI for the Yankees. And it was just what I expected. The Yankees have a really deep lineup, but pitching-wise, Max Scherzer did a fairly decent job. He allowed 6 hits, so about a hit an inning for what they played, and I believe 4 walks. And that's what I had the issue with for Max. The 11 strikeouts is exactly what you expect from Max Scherzer. And probably with the opportunity to go 2/3 of an inning extra, he would have gotten another 1 to 2 strikeouts. Maybe if he would have gone another inning, another 3 strikeouts. So it was exactly what I expected from Max. The walks hurt, but the most disappointing thing was that Major League Baseball wasn't able to find a way to have the full game played. Good thing for the Nationals, though, they'll have a chance to win their first game as they're back at it against the Yankees for the second game of their 3-game series today, first pitch being at 7:15. But there is more rain in the forecast, so we'll see how that goes. For the Baltimore Orioles, they were completely destroyed by the Boston Red Sox, 13-2. Boston scored 13 runs on 17 hits, all without a home run. Baltimore starting pitcher Tommy Malone lasted only 3 innings, giving up 4 runs, but he fared much better than his replacement Cody Carroll, who left the game with an ERA of infinity after failing to retire a single batter he faced. The O's offense did fare better than the Nationals, scoring 2 runs. One off a double by designated hitter Renato Nunez, the other off a home run by third baseman Rio Ruiz. The next game for the Orioles is today against the Boston Red Sox at 1:35 p.m. Also in today's action around sports, the Washington Mystics will begin their defense of the WNBA championship against the Indiana Fever at 5 p.m. Back to baseball, however, as the Toronto Blue Jays announced they will play their 2020 home games in Buffalo out of their AAA affiliate. For the Nationals, who were set to be the Blue Jays' first road opponent, will now play those 2 games against Toronto from Nationals Park, the date for those games being July 29th and 30th. Also in Major League Baseball, before the season even got started, the league announced the expansion of the 2020 postseason from 10 teams to 16 teams. The expansion sees the top 2 teams from every division qualify for the playoffs, as well as the teams with the next 2 best records from each league. The top seeded team from each league will get to choose their first round opponent, which I thought was really cool. Actually getting to pick who you play in the first round. So I guess it's pretty cool to be the top seeded team. You actually get that choice. But as far as the first round, it'll be a 3-game series played all at the higher seed's home stadium, before returning to the familiar format of the playoffs from the divisional series through the World Series. And the actual news of the episode comes out of the NFL, where the Washington football team has a new name. And that's it. That's the new name. For the 2020 NFL season, the team that plays in Washington will be known as the Washington Football Team. And they released a statement saying, "For updated brand clarity and consistency purposes, we will call ourselves the Washington Football Team pending adoption of our new name. The decision allows the franchise the ability to undertake an in-depth branding process to properly include player, alumni, fan, community, and sponsor input." They also acknowledge fan design renderings in their statement, which I thought was pretty cool, and said retirement of all Redskins branding will be finalized before the season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles on September the 13th. The team even released uniform mock-ups, which sees the previous team's word mark replaced by Washington on the front of the jersey, and the logo on the helmet replaced by players' numbers set in gold, as you can see here. While the team isn't adding a logo to their uniforms, their social media pages had a new aesthetic, which I thought was pretty cool. It points in the direction that the rebrand is going. Pretty clean and simple, sticks with burgundy and gold as the team requested, at least keeping some semblance of their history. As far as actual on-the-field news, quarterback Alex Smith was cleared to return to full football activity for the first time since his devastating injury back in 2018. And it's not only a blessing for Alex to be back playing football, it's a blessing to still be alive. I'm extremely glad to see this, see him take the next step in his return, and maybe we'll actually see him on the field again. But for the team, they signed all their 2020 draft picks, and for the Baltimore Ravens, they did so as well. So all 2020 draft picks are officially under contract. In league news, the NFL and its Players Association agreed to a ratified CBA, and the biggest news out of that was that players have until August 3rd to opt out of the season. Finally, the last bit of news coming out of combat sports, where Mike Tyson is making his return to boxing, agreeing to an 8-round exhibition with Roy Jones Jr. set to take place on September the 12th. The 54-year-old Tyson last fought 15 years ago when he lost to Kevin McBride. As for the 51-year-old Jones Jr., his last professional appearance was back in 2018 where he won by decision. And I'm really excited about this. Seeing Mike Tyson post some of his workout videos on social media has really started the craze for this, and it's finally going to happen. September the 12th. Mark the date. But that's all I have for you guys. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of What's the Word? God bless.